Yeah, look, it was kind of surreal for me. I didn't actually realise it was that long a time since I've last been in the jersey. Obviously, I've been in and out of camps and I've had a troubling time with injury, but trying not to look back on that. I'm here now and I felt very grateful to get out on the pitch, to be honest. It was pretty special for me being back out with the girls. I always am so proud to wear the Australian jersey and represent my country. So yeah, to be honest, it was just surreal. And I worked really hard to get back here and respect Tommy, and I'm grateful for the opportunity for awarding the hard work and my form in the A-League, and worked hard to get here, and I'll definitely work even harder to stay.
And Tom, week 2, new opponents. How is everyone feeling and how is the preparations going?
The preparations are going well. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a different camp than normal, where we've had a bigger group of players. We've had some players that have come for the first 2 games in Queensland, and some of them have gone back to the clubs as per the regulations. But it's been fantastic because we've been able now to bring in another 8 or 9 new players, many of them who haven't either been around the Matildas for some time or who haven't actually been around the Matildas at all. And as a coach, it's really exciting to give those players an opportunity.
Laura.
Hello, I'm Laura from Channel 7. I don't know if this works. Tom, just to follow up to that, my question for you is, knowing that you've lost the players that you have back to club duties, and there's a lot of very experienced names in there, how difficult is it to shape a national campaign when you know you've got those competing duties and you do have the fresh faces coming in, particularly after you faced Brazil? And also, Emily, I wonder as well for you, how long was it a goal of yours to get back, and did you think that was something you were always going to achieve?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. To be honest, the second I pulled up short before the World Cup, it was a burning desire to get this jersey back on. And, coming back into camp and unfortunately falling short with another injury right before the Olympics, put a dagger in my heart. I'm not going to lie, it was probably the most difficult time I've ever had in my football career. But yeah, I've been dying to get this jersey back on. I knew it was going to be a long road. It's really tough to get back into this squad, and it's even tougher to stay. And I'm well aware of that, and I'm well aware of the jump that it is from A-League back into this national team environment. So, I've been working tirelessly, and I'm really, really fortunate with my A-League club. I've got a coaching staff that support me, back me, and believe in me 100% to get back to this goal-scoring form. And the most important thing over this time was to never lose belief in myself that I'm good enough to be back here. So it's all about just proving to myself and taking every opportunity as it comes. And so for me, I was destined to get back in the second I lost it.
I've forgotten the question. No, I haven't. I was just testing you. I haven't. Look, when you become a coach, you just get used to dealing with whatever you have to deal with. And so in some ways, obviously, you can look from a logistical perspective. Hasn't been perfect. That's life, and you just get on with it. But from another perspective, these games have really given us an opportunity which hasn't happened in the Matildas probably for many years, where we've got a chance to actually look particularly at domestic talent and actually assess some young players that haven't had, and some more experienced players who have been out of the picture for a little while, to actually get back on the field. So from a coaching perspective, obviously I can turn around and say our preparation's been very tight, we don't have a lot of time with the players. That's what you deal with. It's quite simple. But from the other perspective, for me, I'm really excited to see how some of these players are actually going to go on the field. And we're also fortunate in the Brazil games to give a couple of players, the first cap in the team, and they've done exceptionally well. And hopefully that will happen in these 2 games.
Emily, I guess the added circumstance of the second part of this camp is you go from sort of the outskirts of the squad to being one of the most senior and most experienced players. That kind of leadership aspect being focused for you with so many experienced players in the camp in this part of the
Yeah, most definitely. I think the people that know me personally, I'm quite a nurturing person. I've developed quite a large leadership role back in my club at home for Melbourne Victory. So I'm hoping to bring some of that experience, and I think we've got enough experienced players in and around this team that are going to be available for these next 2 games. That we really need to step up. We need to nurture these girls, and also just give a subtle reminder that when you put this jersey on, there is a level of expectation. There is a different demand. And it is a big jump. It's no secret that there is a level, an increase in intensity from A-League or just from your outside club jersey to putting on this jersey. So there's going to be those expectations there, and it's just about staying positive and getting behind these girls. And, you know, there's a reason why Tom's been following the league, obviously, for a really long time. And those girls are in here with this opportunity for a reason. So it's just about us experienced players getting behind them. And, you know, Chinese Taipei, it's going to be a tough battle, and they're always hard teams to play. And when you get in this kind of situation with people that have never played before, and some girls have had over 100 caps and some girls have never been in the national team camp, it's all about collectively how quickly can you regroup and just staying connected as a team. And Matilda's kind of had that never say die spirit, so I think it's just about coming together as a collective as quickly as possible, really.
Fraser from ABC. Tom, just from your perspective, has there been any discussion with Football Australia about the bearing of these results on your ability to stay longer in the coaching job?
Usually comes first question. No, my position has been quite simple since day one. I'm here as the interim coach, and I'm here as the interim coach for as long or for as short as the FA requires me to be in the position. It's as simple as that.
Emily, how special is it that you get to play in Melbourne in front of probably what's going to be a sellout crowd?
Yeah, look, for me, it's kind of come full circle, hasn't it? I'm back here, and Amy Park is where I've been playing my double headers with my club. And originally, I'm born and from Melbourne, so for me, it has come full circle. I actually got my first opportunity from Tom over a decade ago. So for me, it feels a bit nostalgic, and you know, I'm feeling good. I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'll take every single opportunity I can to wear this jersey, and I'll do whatever I can to help this team win. But definitely a special feeling playing here in Amy Park.
I've got it, and then Tom, and just feels like you've been the form number 9 in the Australian setup. We know Sam's injured as well. How big an opportunity? Just do you want to show that you can be, I guess, the player, the starting number 9 in doing this?
Yeah, that's a difficult one to answer because Sam is Sam, and I've always tried to never compare myself to players. You know, when I started stepping away from the kind of the right wing role and started transitioning back into the 9, bear in mind I started my career out as a 9, but then in the national team I'd be playing as a right or left winger. And since Sam's been out, I find myself naturally gravitating towards a 9. I saw an opportunity there, and you know, at some stage she will come back in. But for me, it's all about being in good goal scoring form and playing well and assisting, whatever that looks like to help the team win. But I think it was a good decision for me to transition back into the 9. I'm an old school 9. I'm definitely different. I'll stick to my strengths. I know I'm a different kind of player to Sam and some other forwards that we have. And so it's all about just recognising that and just staying in my lane. I'm hungry. I'm determined. Whatever minutes I can get, I'm willing to put my best foot forward for the team. But for right now, I do see myself as a 9, but I still back myself enough to, if I can be, I'm quite versatile. I feel like I can play out wide still. But for right now, being in the 9 has rewarded me. I've been scoring goals and doing well for my team. So just trying to stay consistent.
And Tom, just the sort of squad we'll see tomorrow night, do you anticipate a bit of a blend of the experienced players you've still got and some youth faces? And do we see maybe a Daniela Galic start after impressing so well?
You're trying to sneak the team out of me, aren't you? Yeah. We will. We'll see a balance of both, because that's what we've got in this squad. We've got some players like, you know, Emily, experienced players who, whether they've been in or out of the squad for a while or come back, but still very experienced. And then we've got another group of players, some in here for the first time. And I think for me, what you can never quite say. Obviously, you start with your starting team. What happens after that, you can never quite predict. But it would be, you know, one of my aims this week is to give opportunities to as many players that I can do. But I don't want to make any guarantees about that, because, you know, a football match goes in many different ways and you can never quite sure what's going to happen.
Cool stuff. Feel like Carol, I'll go to Emily first and then Tom. Emily, you talked about the heartbreaking disappointment of missing the last 2 major tournaments for the Matildas. How much has the chance to play in a home Asian Cup here on Australian soil, experience a major tournament on Australian soil, how big has that been for you as you've gone through that journey you were taking us through?
I can't really put it into words, to be honest. The second I knew it was announced, I had a fire in my belly. Obviously missing the home World Cup, like I said, it was the most difficult time in my footballing career. Pretty special. I know it's a once in a lifetime, so you can only imagine the disappointment and the heartache that I felt. However, it's just been my goal to get back in and playing in this in this jersey. But yeah, as soon as I found out about the Asian Cup, I mean, it's in the forefront of my mind. But I think as I've gotten older and matured as a footballer, I've realised not to look too far ahead. So right now I'm just focusing when I'm at my club, performing for my club, when I'm in country, performing for my country. And I know if I do all the right things, and everything will take care of itself. But obviously that is in the back of my mind, and without trying to look too far ahead, I'll just, you know, just keep chipping away at all the small goals and just be consistent and stay in good form.
And Tom, I guess the challenge for your coaching staff in this window, you've gone from the heavy metal Brazil, physicality, pressing, pace, and now you're going to play Chinese Taipei that will likely sit back in a low block and challenge you to break them down, which this team has had experiences with in the past. How do you approach shifting from one challenge to a very different one, and what do we expect against Chinese Taipei on that front?
Well, I think one thing that probably helps is that the changeover of the squad. So we've got a mix of players who, you know, weren't in the Brazil camp, so it doesn't really impact them at all. But again, it's just about down to doing our job, our preparation, looking at videos, making players aware of how different this game is going to be in relation to the Brazil game. And this game will give us probably a different set of frustrations with a team that really sit down in a low block and make it difficult for us to break them down. So, you know, as I say, as a coach, it's like, even if you're a club coach, you know, you play one team one week and you play a different team the next week. It's not much different. It's just making sure we get our preparation as best we can to play Chinese Taipei, and hopefully we execute the game plan successfully.
We've got time for 3 more questions before we head out for the vision opportunity.
Tom, just when we talk about blooding players and developing that depth, is that something that we're likely to see a lot more of in the lead up to the Asian Cup? And is it your personal coaching philosophy, or is there a directive and we're going to see more of that from Matildas?
I think there's a combination of things. I think at this particular point in the cycle, I think the Matildas have had a very consistent squad for 4 years, and what's happened with that is it hasn't allowed opportunities for other players. And one of the key things as a national team coach is you've got to play for the present but plan for the future. And I think, in all fairness, I don't think we've planned for the future well enough. So part of the task of me and whoever comes in on a permanent basis has to be that we're doing a little bit of balance of both. And that encompasses looking at other players without by trying to balance everything else, getting results, good performances, all those type of things. But we do need to look at expanding the competition within what I would call the Matildas programme.
And I'm sure you wouldn't mind me saying that you've taken crap from the Brazilians the other night, but we expect to see that physicality, fire and passion against Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, I think it's an expectation. I think we had a bit, I wouldn't call it a realisation, but we had to rise to the occasion against Brazil. It's something that we've probably not encountered too much and not what we were expecting, but I think in that second game you saw that we were up for the fight. And I think that was important, that second game against Brazil, because it's actually ignited something moving into Chinese Taipei. Australia has always been known for its physicality, and I think that's something that we can absolutely have dominance over Chinese Taipei, but it's important that we deliver that and assert dominance early. It's something that we can have over this team, and we put up a good fight in Brazil. Unfortunately, the results didn't go our way, but it was good to get in a tussle. Every striker likes a bit of a tussle. Frustrating at times, and it can put you off your game. So I think we've actually learnt a lot from that, to be honest. And if anything, as much as frustrating as it was, it's actually helped us. It's going to help us improve our game moving forward with Chinese Taipei.
Okay, final question.
Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. Tom, you've spoken a lot about kind of building depth and expanding the pool of players, widening the net. I guess it raises the obvious question, which is like, how relevant are those assessments of the players that you're making now, if and when a new permanent head coach comes in, given that they'll probably want to make their own assessments? And is there some sort of handover, or some of the backroom team likely to stick around so that sort of institutional knowledge isn't lost?
Well, hopefully there's continuity. I think that's important. I think when I step away, the coach that comes in will hopefully, he or she will hopefully rely on the staff that is here, as well as perhaps bring their own staff. But I think that part of the continuity is important for the programme. And I think, you know, if you look at the overall picture, I think what's very important in a job like the Matildas job or the Australian job is that the head coach comes in is not just simply a head coach of one team, but that the head coach of the Matildas programme. And that encompasses a lot of other roles apart from just doing the national team. So hopefully, whoever that person is comes in and will certainly, or should certainly, rely on the expertise that's already here.